Hi. Okay. So yesterday I did a very brief introduction of what I basically think personality is all about, and why we should not jump too much into some of these psychometric tests. And I got some queries actually. Uh, very very strange. It doesn't usually happen that fast. Okay. Now, some of those queries I am trying to address by doing this particular post. Otherwise, I was not necessarily planning on doing this. So I don't necessarily have a PPT ready. But like we did yesterday, we did a lot of Googling together. So we'll do the same thing now. So here is my Google, and here is that brief PPT which I want to share with you. So let me do that first. And of course, have the chat on and share my presentation. Okay. Now, why personality part 2, and what's the need? So yesterday's discussion was uh, from the point of view of not considering too much personality issues to be a challenge to performance. And today what I'm trying to do is show you some practical applications wherein personality and its relation to performance will become more apparent to you. That is one. You will be able to align different kind of personalities to existing. Sorry, let me remove the yeah, fine. So what I basically want to do is show you some practical examples, and for those I don't necessarily need my PPT, and of course then divulge the little secret that we have hidden in diversity, and why organizations talk so much about diversity. Now what is basically happening is uh, that some of the organizations consider diversity just to be gender diversity, but that is not the case. Gender diversity is not the only kind of diversity you should be looking into, or let's say some kind of a cross-cultural diversity, wherein they would love to get in some employees from some other organizations across the globe and get their experiences and all. That is not necessarily diversity. Okay, diversity may be at a global level, but diversity exists within each and every organization. There are different kind of personalities that you already hired because you obviously um, were either not okay. Now some of you might find this a little offensive, but I'll tell you what and what we do wrong in most of the practices of hiring that we kind of perpetuate in today's date. Let me give you some bullet points here. Firstly, how do we know what kind is our best performer? That is the first question that we need to ask ourselves. Okay, and because I will not be able to toggle into the slideshow, so I'll just kind of enlarge the size of my slides over here so that you can see some of these things. So okay, so how do we know what kind is our best performer? So let's say before let me try and explain this point to you further. Let's say that there is an individual in your organization who is your consistent best performer. Now, these words are important. Consistent best performer, and I am not talking about any kind of potential assessment over here. I am talking about actual results, actual performance results. Now, what you need to consider is that individual performing and giving you consistent performance in the same environment over a period of time, or is the environment for that individual changing? Also, what you need to consider is in the environment, does the individual still manage the same kind of a team or work group? Are the customers similar to whom the individual has been interacting with earlier, in the past? Are the let's say are the threats in the environment the same? Are the opportunities which were available to the individual still the same over a period of time? And now, depending on this, you would have a certain profile of this individual who's your best performer. Now, having said all these things, it is very difficult to gauge them unless, of course, you have been with the organization for a long time, or you have the advantage and very objective performance management system, a robust system which is there in place. When I say this robust system and this and that and all these things, I don't mean anything very fancy. Let me say the performance management, I just call it the PMS, can be of these various kinds, and these are all recommended kinds, whatever suits you depending on various things that you might want to do. One could be a balance scorecard. Okay, the other could be something based on a MBO structure. The other could be you are just getting some kind of KPIs from say clients, and you're just kind of implementing those within your organization. The other could be that yours is a very stable organization and you have some CTQs. So it's a stable BAU kind of a process where you have some CTQs which are critical to your continuous quality and say to the TQM function within your organization, and that is what you are pursuing as performance measures. Whatever it is, absolutely anything which is giving you say objective measurable data, anything of that sort will do. Having said this, how will you link it to personality? And if I'm asking you to gather just objective measurable data, it need not necessarily be anything to do with personality or things to that effect, which is perfectly fine. So to begin with, this is what we require. Once we get this, then you do an environment analysis and try and understand a few things. Okay, those things that you need to understand, let me list them over here. And these are very basic things that you need to understand. What are the environment variables? And let me list them out for you, some examples of environment variables. Let's say the environment variables that you want to look into are ambiguity in role, or changes happening in environment due to which role has to change. Second could be changes within team structure, changes within operating models. So certain organizations will have certain operating model and then they might change to something else. Now all these things and few other factors you have to look at, and those will be your let's for want of any other term and keeping it extremely simple, let's call them behavioral competency challengers. Yeah, that let's just call them that. And let me explain to you why I'm calling them this. But there are certain certain competencies that an individual has which are the functional competencies. Sorry, I couldn't change the font color. Are functional competencies. Now these could be knowledge of sales and marketing, or kind of a situation, knowledge and say application skill of production, or anything of that sort, on very simple basic terms. And let me use a very basic example, say from finance, reading a balance sheet. Fine. So reading a balance sheet. Now reading a balance sheet is a very basic finance function, and let's say it's a functional competency. Okay. Having said this, what would be in parallel a behavioral competency for reading a balance sheet? Let's say for reading a balance sheet, what kind of a behavior would you propose an individual should have? Analytical skills, again on the skill side, not necessarily a behavior. uh, say maturity while analyzing this. Let's say conflict management while suggesting something. Let's say you have to go ahead and suggest some kind of a change to the CEO. Now you've gone ahead and seen in the balance sheet that there are few things which are wrong. Yeah. So okay, here in the function competency, you go and see certain assets which might uh, depreciate over a period of time. So you go and question this, or you go and highlight this in some manner to your CEO. But in what manner is what is critical. Your CEO might not be in the best mood to hear from you something to do with the balance sheet which is of his organization. He knows how that works. Okay. And he might think, oh, who is this upstart? He's just a manager, or maybe even a senior manager, even a director of finance. But what business does he have to tell me that there are certain assets which are there in my organization which are depreciating and I need to do this, right? So what you need to do is, firstly, having analytical skills, you'll be able to understand whether that thing requires that much of focus and concern or not. Also, you will be able to make out, let me shade this little differently so that you can make sense of this. Focus and concern and or not in my area of influence. Now concern versus influence, two very simple terms. I can be concerned about the traffic that gathers outside my office in the evening when I try and go home, but I might not be in a position to influence it. But if I get down from my vehicle and I start acting erratically and I start jumping around in the middle of the traffic saying, hey, what is happening? Why don't all of you, just vanish? That is stupidity. I could be concerned, but I cannot influence it. Similarly, whomever you might be in the organization, your concerns for the organization's general good might be, great. And, people might say, oh, wow, he thinks about the general good and about the organization and things to that effect. But if you cannot influence those decisions with some kind of analytical data or some kind of support by saying, presume you say that these assets will depreciate if we keep them in this particular manner, and say, immovable assets that we have, we could be a small manufacturing organization, say based out of Manesar, wherein you have a little, godown kind of thing, which you have been using for a while and you've been sharing it with some other organization, and now somebody looks at your balance sheet and realizes the return that you're getting on that asset is not necessarily what you should be getting out of an asset of that particular asset value. Now he comes and tells this to the manufacturing organization's CEO, who's some fellow like me. Let me focus on myself again in case you've not seen what I'm looking like today. Okay, please Google behave. No, doesn't seem to be behaving. No. God, I just saw my screen go upside down. Did you see that? Okay. So if he's some fellow like me, white shirt, tough guy, sitting in the office and saying, fine, okay, this is my organization, I run it the way I want. and who the hell are you to come and teach me to do my work, then you should stay away from such a person. You should, you might be very smart. You might have your mathematics absolutely in queue. But don't approach this guy at the wrong time. Approach him at the right time. Try and understand how you can avoid conflict. And then there will be people, there will be others within the organization who will say, कि ये तो लाला जी की नौकरी करते हैं, something to that effect. That this gentleman, whoever he is in question, always approaches the Lalaji when the Lalaji wants him to approach him. But that is probably the best way of doing things. And if you have not seen my other video on the leadership basics, wherein I start off initially with something called leader member exchange, that is very, very important. If you have aligned yourself to an organization, you have to align yourself to the leadership. If you are not aligned to the leadership yourself over a period of time, nobody can align you. There's a lot of facilitators out there, okay, and I don't want to kick them on their stomach by kind of making this extremely public, but a lot of them claim that they will walk into an organization, they'll do something for a day, and they will align the existing leadership to the organization's existing goals. So I don't know what exactly they want to achieve, but that is not possible. Okay, and why that is not possible, let me explain this to you with a very, very simple example. Here is a house which I constructed. Okay, this is my head, and here I am, and that's the key to excellence up there, if you can see it, the key to my house. Yeah, and this is the house that I constructed according to what was my vision, and maybe 2 or 3 more people who were there along with me, and I have been going on with that vision for a period of time, right? Now suddenly, over a couple of years, I realized that this vision is not probably aligning with the personal vision or the personal goals of individuals whom I have hired in my organization, or over a period of time I have let them get escalated along the skill ladder in my organization, or say the leadership ladder, forget the skill ladder, the leadership ladder in my organization. If that be the case, then just by putting them in a room and saying, okay friends, this is what I believe in and this is my vision, or this is what it is, it will not happen. It will only happen when all of us come together like this. If you can see what I'm trying to do over there, we have to come together like this, wherein each and every individual's views are considered, and that's the advantage with startups, and why startups do extremely well. Let's take the case of Flipkart. Both of those guys, both Bansal friends, and the news guys kept on saying, no, you have to make sure that you understand that they are not related, because if we consider that they are related, then it would be so easy to understand why they are successful, because they work as a team, they gel as a team. Why? Because they're brothers. So brothers who've grown in the same environment, brothers who have the same genetic mix, would probably get along much better than maybe people who just meet on the street and say, fine, okay guys, let's do business together. So that's but natural. So having said this, let me again get back to my slideshow, and let me scroll back to my agenda. So how to align different personalities to existing org level goals. So you obviously want to do this. You do not want to chuck these people out and say, we can't utilize you anymore because you don't align with our goals, or something to that effect. That is definitely not what is recommended. But how do you align? You'll have to be flexible. So the old saying that goes like in Hindi, that you can't clap with one hand. You have to have both the hands together to clap. So that's the only way to get things going. So what you need to do is you need to get along with them, and you don't necessarily need a facilitator. If you are the CEO of the organization or senior gentleman in the organization who gets along with those folks and has a good level of communication, then you don't necessarily need a facilitator to do this for you. Get into environment where nobody can disturb you. And I've seen a lot of these organizations who have started doing these things lately. There was a video, absolutely obnoxious video actually, of Seat. I don't know if that video is true or not. Pathetic things they were up to in an in a outbound kind of a, I don't know what to call it, in an offsite kind of a scenario. Absolutely pathetic, unprofessional things. But I'll tell you the truth. If that is what it takes to get your fellows out of their shell, get the turtles out of their shell, please do that before you go ahead and absolutely fail, and your entire strategy and execution becomes a bloody joke. Please go ahead and do absolutely anything, but get the turtles out of their shells, make them sit on a table and say, okay, dear friends, now I want your inputs. I need to understand how can I make our business perform better. So it's extremely simple. Just be extremely sincere and ask them this question: how can I make our business perform better? And you're not involving them over here right now. You're not saying that you need to help me make the business perform better, or this or that. You've taken the ownership on yourself and you say, I just need advice, be my consultants. Let them be your internal consultants, because they know best. No external consultant, whoever it might be, with maybe some kind of theoretical knowledge or practical knowledge or whatever it is, forget about it. I've seen a lot of these guys walk into organizations and say, I'll help you resolve your problem. It doesn't happen. The problem of the organization will be resolved only by internal consulting, because they are the ones who are closest to the problem and they know the problem best. For an external consultant to understand the problem from the same depth or understanding or whatever it is, will take probably the probably the nth power of time and the nth power of effort, and still the chances are the individual will not be successful. So an external consultant, so what can a external guy do? Can help you facilitate, sorry, not yelp, you can yelp also, but help you facilitate this intervention. Okay, too much red over here. Let me keep the intervention in red and I'll explain to you why I'm keeping it in red. And this is a basic reason why intervention is in red and in all caps, because it's ultimately that it's an intervention. What does an intervention mean? It's a simple English term which means you are intervening into something. So there is something which is happening in a wonderful manner right now, and you, for some reason, have got this smart idea that I want to make it better. Somebody could turn around and ask you, boss, why do you want to make it better? Chal raha hai na, let's just go along with it. It's okay. We'll kind of make it better over a period of time. But no, you have decided you have to make it better today. That's great. That's absolutely fine. But you have to keep this in your mind. Whenever you intervene, it is an intervention. It has to be treated as an intervention. And because it's an intervention, it's a change management challenge. And as it's a change management challenge, whatever you are supposed to do for managing changes, and this is not the session for that. This was personality, and it's now reached somehow change. Performance has got dovetailed somewhere in the middle. But the point is, whenever you want to manage change, you need to, whether it's a small change, an incremental change, a long-term change, a short-term change, all those flavors considered, you need to be extremely alert, and you need to plan, and then you need to execute. Okay, so from personality, we are reaching planning and execution. So these are the basic linkages which are there, and how these are to be kind of planned and executed over a period of time. What I'll do is I will continue with this at an opportune time. As of now, I'm kind of rushing into something else, which is extremely important to me. And at a personal level, it's more of change management at what I keep on feeling. So best of luck to you, and have fun till I get back and I see you again.